Wolf, get away from those sheep.
Bollocks.
You're listening to the Wolf and the Shepherd podcast, broadcasting from Fort Worth in the great state of Texas. Now, get ready for this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd.
Welcome to this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd. Today with us we have Shellee, who is from collegeready.com. Shellee, it is so great that you could join us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to it.
Now, Shellee, you've obviously come too late to the table to help the Shepherd and I through this process, but...
Oh, well, don't jump ahead now. Maybe she could figure out a way for us to actually go back to school and learn to do something other than this podcast thing.
I think there's a limited number of times you can register for community college.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
But I thought that's why we were paying our county taxes and everything, so I could
pay
go
any
back.
taxes.
I wonder if you can get a degree in podcasting now.
Probably.
Yeah.
University of Phoenix online.
Yeah, but maybe we could actually be professors there. You know, they always say that those who can't do or those that can teach, or maybe I got that backwards.
Those that can't remember.
Yeah, those that can't remember, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's what we're missing. Maybe
Right.
that's the way we actually make money doing this, is we teach all the other people to, go out and do this, pay us money, we'll tell you how to do it.
Right. So basically, this is what you're dealing with. Now, that's an exaggerated type of level of knowledge or non-level of knowledge that you're going to have along a lot of parents. But parents do find themselves taken by surprise, even though they've had 18 years to prepare for this process, at least mentally. So what is, given our idiotic scenario we just played out, what is your most common thing that you find among parents that you absolutely cannot believe in this information age people still don't know?
Wow, that is a open can of worms, because every day I get phone calls that I'm still shocked that I get. This morning I got one, and the mom calls and says, I know I'm really early for this college planning thing. And I'm like, outstanding. What grade is your student in? And she goes, well, he's going to be a senior. And I have to just pause and think, what made them wait so long to start planning for college? In all reality, back in the day, you really didn't have to put the energy in that you do now. But we start our students as young as when they promote from 8th grade. So for somebody to think that they're coming early to the game the senior year or the summer before the senior year, it makes me concerned for that student, and potentially what they could have done had they known that it could have helped them. So most of it is people just don't know what they don't know, and are shocked to find out when I get to educate them how much opportunity there is for students to really stand out, to be unique, not in a crazy way, but to really be genuinely them. And that's what colleges want. They want to know who the student is and why it matters.
So what exactly, just to kind of give us a breakdown, what is collegeready.com all about? You know, in a nutshell, what would cause a parent to want to come to you and say, hey, help me be college ready? Don't wait until they're a senior or whatever. So talk to all ages and all that good stuff. What would want a parent to, come to your site, come to your program, and figure out a way to get their kids into college?
Yeah, that's a great question. So College Ready was founded when my son was in middle school, and he came home and said, Mom, I know exactly what I want to do when I grow up. And I was like, really? Because I'm still trying to figure it out. And he's like, yeah, Mom, I figured it out today. I want to be a brain surgeon, and I want to go to a top tier school, and I need your help. And I smiled and looked at him like most parents do, and we're like, yeah, we'll figure this out. So fast forward, without all of the details, we went to his high school counselor. They really couldn't help. And so I went back to school and I got my master's degree. And I started touring 25 colleges a semester. And when my son graduated, he had 7 full ride offers, ended up at Harvard 4 years for free. And then all of a sudden, College Ready was founded. it happened to me versus me going out and starting a business.
Right now, understandably, there's a little conflict of interest that exists there, which really shouldn't exist, and that be that banks make interest from loans to parents or to students to go to college. And if you suddenly save parents money and they don't need so much money, they don't need to save as much money, the banks aren't making as much money. So do you think that perhaps the lack of information online or lack of credible information online and the difficulty in finding it is somewhat deliberate? Because I can guarantee if I was a bank and I was going to be losing millions and millions of dollars in interest because somebody was going to be, cutting some of the loans our customers take in half, you can bet probably the insidious side of the company would be paying me to go online and providing a lot of disinformation. Oh, don't chase these systems which are going to save you money. They're all scams, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you get one person for 2 weeks, it suddenly ruins the credibility or throws into doubt everything out there which is genuine.
Absolutely. It's not just the banks either. The other piece of it is the lack of knowledge comes from many different angles. It's people who don't want to share because they want their child to have the competitive edge. I always have to have a giggle because my wonderful clients who think that college ready is the best. I mean, we earned our students $10.7 million this year, class of 2021. And I ask these parents, would you like to leave a review? And they like, no, you're like the best babysitter. We're not going to share what you have with the world because then everybody else would have what we have. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me because my mission is to reach 1 million families and let them know they don't have to go into debt to go to college. So to answer your question, I think it's even deeper than just the banks.
Well, no, that makes sense to me. I mean, it's kind of like when you're growing up and you find this really cool band, right? And you go to that show and you're like, oh, this is a great band. You don't want your friends to know it because you're kind of keeping that a secret, like, oh, I'm kind of one of the insiders, so to speak. I have all this knowledge. I knew them way back when. It's like the dream back when I was in an alternative rock band. It's like, opening for Nirvana back in 1991 before they made it big or whatever. So it's kind of that same thing, like, well, if this information gets out too much, does it dilute down to where it won't help me? Because maybe I have that kid that's now 18 and going to college, but I also have an 8-year-old and I want to make sure that this is all good in 10 years. So I don't want too many people to know about this because I want it all to stay valid for that amount of time.
Well, also there's the fact that some of these money saving ways, there's a limited amount of money, a limited pot to actually claim from. So obviously if everybody's claiming from it, you'd figure that's less division up among.
Yeah, that's true. So did you start a secret society? Is this going to turn into a conspiracy theory podcast and this is all hidden in a secret society or something like that?
It's fascinating you say that. My son was part of a final club at Harvard, and there's so much history and mystery around that type of club. This is not a private club. My mission is to help people understand. I wrote a best-selling book, How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money, that I'm happy to give away to families who can't afford the book. But you can buy it on Amazon for $15, where I explain what you need to do. Now, I can't go into how you need to do it because every student brings their own gifts and talents. So I'm not trying to keep anything secret. On the contrary, I'm trying to let people know you need this information to make wise decisions for your return on your investment. Some colleges are not a good investment for certain majors. Some students do not need to go to a certain college for what they want to do for their future. So it really comes down to the individual student being their greatest version of them. I tell people it's like this. If you're in business and you have a opening and I bring you a really nice resume, are you not going to pay me top dollar, versus the person who says, this is my first job, can you give me an opportunity? They get minimum wage. So it comes down to really developing the student to be the best they can be, which means the entire world has a shot at this. That's why it's not limited. It's really what your student can do to be the best version of them.
Now, other than that misdemeanor you got for public trespass, it's been a long time since either the Shepherd or I were in high school. So
It has been a long
what
time.
do they teach in high school nowadays to the students in terms of getting ready for college? Because I can't remember them teaching us too much, you know.
Well, didn't they teach you in high school basically be a really good soccer player so you don't have to go to college and then get a professional soccer career,
Yeah.
which is basically what they did with you?
Yeah, they marked my E's to A's just to get me through the
exactly.
system,
Because and let's be honest, you know, there are so many kids that think, well, let me focus on sports. You know, let me be a good football player. Let me be a good baseball player. Let me be a good soccer player, whatever. And then I'll get a scholarship so then I can go to college. And of course, they really want to focus on the sports and not on the college aspect, right? And then they realize they don't get to go to the NFL. They don't get to go to the NBA. And now they walk out of college and they don't have anything there. And that's really in the United States the way that everything is focused as far as scholarships are, or other than like band or something like that, which is almost the same thing. It's like, oh, I got a scholarship to college to play the French horn. Now I'm out of college and I spent 4 years playing the French horn. Now what am I supposed to do? And so kind of your program is you don't have to focus on those things. There's other things that you can actually look at.
Yes. So that's the big piece to our program is we're unique in the fact that we just don't, if you're good at math, we don't say go to MIT. It doesn't, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. We help students really focus on their academic rigor, being challenged in the classes that they are good at naturally, and maybe not so much in the other. Or a test strategy, test optional. Is it really optional? Is what a lot of people want to know. Community service is part of our standout strategy because when teenagers are focused on helping their community, they're not focused on themselves. And they can find out a lot about their leadership skills, and they can find out, do I like to, help young people or old people? And then the extracurriculars and the leadership. It takes a well-balanced student. A high GPA is no longer your ticket into any school anymore, just like being left-footed and right-footed as a forward on the football team is not going to guarantee you into the Olympics. So it's having a whole bag of tricks that is going to make you a valuable candidate.
So basically, it sounds like you tailor make the package to each student and set of parents in a case-by-case basis rather than having a one-size-fits-all solution. What do you find is, well, who do you find is harder to kind of educate about the process, the students or the parents? Because, obviously there's a certain amount of choice involved in the kid in terms of what school they want to go to, but also the parents' budgetary constraints have a huge factor on that. But then when you bring in other plans, obviously it opens up more opportunities. So is it kind of a close working relationship with the kids and the parents, or do you have to kind of deal with them separately so people aren't tearing each other's heads off?
You're a wise man. What we do is we work one-on-one with the student. We create a standout strategy in which we have an online platform. So they have everything completely built out with a plan A and a B and a C, because we don't know at any point if they're going to have that teacher or that subject that is going to get everything off rail. So what we do then is we record the meeting with the student. We send the recording to the parent, who has a wonderful listening experience, hearing their young adults speak to a complete stranger when we start, but we get very close at the end. And that parent gets to hear their child talk about what they want for 5-year plan, 10-year plan. How much rigor are they willing to do? How much are they not willing to do? And it is amazing how much the student or the parent learns about the student. So in answer to your question, I think it's more challenging for the parents because they come with a lot of what they know, where the student is like, just help me get my dream. I'll do whatever it takes. Help me get there. So they want to play the game. The parents are struggling. Well, that's not how it used to be. And so we have this challenge. And then, of course, the student doesn't want to listen to the parent because that is the relationship where they're happy to listen to us because we want to get them their dream.
So, in your perfect client, how young is too young? Like, what is the age that you want to grab a hold of these? And obviously, not the age of the parents, but the age of the kid, right? How old would you say this is my Cadillac client? This is the perfect client. This is how you can deliver the best experience for them.
Absolutely. So if I got to pick, I would pick that student who just promotes from 8th grade, because that first semester before high school is the most wasted summer of all summers. And that's the first thing that colleges you can include on your application. So I get a 3-month jump start if I can get that student at that window. The reality is people find us everywhere in the process. And right now we're being bombarded with high school seniors who were online all year and had no contact from their high school counselor, and they're freaking out. So we'll still take them. It's just a little bit more of a fire hose than a gentle, nice, fun time.
Yeah. Do you find that when you kind of put this program in front of people that there is some skepticism, because everything nowadays you get is offering to save you money? I mean, the latest craze obviously has been, certainly during the pandemic, is everybody getting endless voice messages from people extending your car warranty because it ran out on a car you haven't owned for 20 years. So do you find that there is that kind of skepticism, and you have to almost like prove to the parents, look, I am here for you. I'm not just doing this to earn some commission, and really, you can end up saving $25 and I make $500.
Absolutely. I think we're at an all-time high where everybody's a little bit on edge. And I simply tell students, I don't take all students. If I have a student who crosses their arms and rolls their eyes and is not interested, I will not take their money. I absolutely will tell them straight up that this is not a good fit. And then I show them the diploma behind me. That is a real Harvard diploma that my son earned. And then I can show them the statement that it didn't cost me a penny. So as much as somebody would like to tell me that maybe this is too good to be true, I simply show them that the results this year, I can show them every single student scholarship and how it all adds up to $10.7 million. So I'm happy to prove it. I'm happy to put them with past clients. And the bottom line is if it's not a good fit, that's okay by us. We don't want somebody who doesn't think. But I've never had a parent say, you know what, I'd rather pay full price for college. I'd rather go in debt, and I'd rather do this on my own. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, absolutely true. But I can also think kind of along your lines of the extended warranty. I mean, we do live in this world where you're bombarded with social media ads, you're bombarded with internet ads, that everything is the get rich quick, just click here, and all this is taken care of. And trying to navigate through those waters of trying to say, hey, wait, this is not some scam, right? That we're actually trying to help you. And yeah, maybe you make a little money doing that, but no harm, no foul with that. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't make money doing that. But it's always that, well, what's in it for them? Why is she have this program out here that's going to save me all this money? Do I have to sell makeup door to door? Do I have to sell essential oils on the side? What am I supposed to do? Is this some kind of multi-level marketing scheme? Because everybody's on their toes right now with all of these scams that constantly come out. So I can see kind of where you're pointing to, that it just does seem like well, what's in it for y'all? And you're trying to explain that, hey, no, it's really not about that. You're really trying to help because you were in that position before, and now you've gathered all this knowledge together, and all you're trying to do is share your hard work, which you ought to get compensated for. Although, we do kind of work hard every once in a while, and we still don't get compensated
That's
for
because
that.
we don't work hard enough.
Well, we
Apparently
did 30 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
We did work hard.
Apparently, there's this threshold of minimum expectation before they actually pay you. That's still kind of up there, and we're still kind of
You didn't
hovering.
explain that to me when we started this.
Is in the fine print.
Oh, okay. But you see where we're going with that, right?
100%. And that's why I think it's important for families to do their due diligence. I caution parents, hockey, I love hockey. It is the most expensive sport to play with just the equipment. Don't even get me started on the private coach and on the different sticks and the skates and the blades and all of that. We are not half as much as hockey, and hockey doesn't guarantee you anything. So be careful what you buy into. 2% of students who go through this process get a athletic full ride scholarship, 2%. But yet parents are pouring their time and money and all of that into this hope and this wish, where I'm saying academics will never fail them. Having what's in their mind will never harm them. Yes, I was a scholar athlete. Yes, I see the value of it. So I'm not saying athletics are bad. I'm just saying know all your options so you can make a wise decision.
I think that's probably why most people in England don't go to college, because they spend all their money on polo.
On polo?
Yeah.
Oh, the water sports
Because
polo?
no,
Or
I'm
the
talking
above
about
ground- not water polo.
riding the horses
Not Marco
and everything.
Polo.
No, not Marco
Because
Polo.
we don't have many swimming
You know,
pools.
because over here, yes, I agree with her that hockey is very expensive, but I'm guessing over in England where they're playing all that polo, I mean, you got to have a horse, you got to feed the horse, you got to pet the horse, you got to do all that. And I'm sure there's very limited polo scholarships to, what is it, Oxford, that everybody wants to go to over there.
Are you making these observations based upon you watching a whole season of Downton Abbey, or is this like...
No, I think my wife watched some show about some English people over there, and they were all playing polo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me. But I totally agree with you on the whole hockey thing, right? Because, yeah, it's a very expensive sport, but depending on which sport or which route you want to go down, you can make it very expensive with the camps and with all that stuff. I mean, my daughter spent years in cheerleading, and I might pose a bet with you that cheerleading might actually be more expensive than hockey. I'm just saying, because now they're calling that a sport and it's not an activity, and there's a lot of money that goes into that. And then you've got to admit, you probably had some parents where you've talked to and you've said, look at all this money that you spent on this. If you would have just grabbed all that money up, thrown it in a 529 plan, you could have probably paid for a year and a half, 2 years of college. But I don't think you're kind of trying to point them to, hey, you misspent some money here. It's more about, here's the plan behind it. So you're not trying to be a financial advisor, basically. So it's nothing like that. It's more of a plan, correct?
Well, we actually do have the financial side because I had to master that with my own personal experience. I was a single mom going through the college admissions process with my first, and I had a 529, and let me tell you, that was big disaster for us. They wanted to take away all my son's merit scholarships because I did such a great job in saving. And so we moved that money and we did it legally. And, it went down to his son's sister 4 years later. And so he was able to take advantage. So we advise families on what the FAFSA looks at, what they don't look at, which you can look up. It's not a hidden thing. It's not easy to find. It's like reading tax code, but it's there. You would hire a CPA for taxes because you want the best tax advantage. We give you the best college funding advantage. We do not move money. We do not sell a product. So we have nothing to gain, again, other than when my son graduated from Harvard, he made $106,000 his first job at 23 and had zero debt. That's why I do what I do, because that's a great way to start a life.
Yeah, now I don't think it's surprising that a lot of parents don't really do adequate planning for kids going to college, because the majority of people don't plan adequately for retirement. So I think if you're not bothered at being age 68 and living under a bridge, sitting in a puddle of your own pee, I'm not sure that you've kind of got that mentality, which is really akin to a good forward planning mentality, I suppose. But that's really a Trojan horse for how do you actually reach out and find these parents? I mean, or how are they getting to you? Because it's one thing having a social media presence and having a website, but what type of channels of distribution do you use to actually reach out to parents in the situation where they might benefit from you?
So majority, at least 50%, if not 60, come from referrals. That's how we actually ended up going to international. We started out here in the US, based in California because of our UC school system. I'm from California, so that was a nice, easy fit. But as we started working with students, then they sent it to their aunt, uncle, nieces, nephews. We went international. So now we bring students in, we take students out, we help everybody navigate the process. And it is all word of mouth. Other than that, it's giving these types of situations where I'm giving information. I love to share. I don't take every student, so I'm not looking to sell you anything. If you think it's a good fit because I give you some really solid, helpful information, then people reach out to us. So I don't do any advertising, or I don't do any, Goodyear blimp type posters. It truly comes from, I lead with my heart, that I want to help people. And when I'm interviewed on Fox 5 News or like shows like yours, people see that I'm genuine and that I'm here because I have a heart to serve, and I love teenagers. So if I get to talk to teenagers all day, I'm in a very happy place.
Is there an age of a kid, a potential college student, where you say, and when I say age, I guess I should say grade level, that it's too late, that there's nothing you can do past a certain point at all?
Once a student accepts a school, they say, yes, I accept your offer, I can't help them. Up until that point, age is not a big deal. I've helped adults before. I've helped transfer students. I've helped students going into med school or law school. So that part is the same. Now, the reality is, if you go into debt your first 4 years, you're going to compound that debt, because getting money for grad school or law school is not half as easy as getting money for undergrad. So I tell families, create a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan, because if that student wants to go on to that next tier of schools, then they should be going to the first tier of schools without going into debt, because otherwise they're going to compound that debt. And then if they're not going to be a doctor, a lawyer, something in that tier, it makes sense for their return on investment. And that really comes down to the student and the school.
So why is it so much harder for what do you call it, like a master's program or a postgraduate program? Why is it so much harder for somebody to get a hold of that money versus the undergraduate program hunting the bachelor's degree?
So the majority of the scholarships that we help our students get come from the institutions themselves. They come from picking the right college for the right student. When you get into master's, PhD, law, whatever that is, there is no money given, or very little money given, I should say, for that level. Because a lot of jobs, a lot of corporations, they will pay for people to go and get their MBA or PhD. So colleges don't feel that they need to step up to do that because they're an adult now. And that kind of falls on the shoulders of being an adult. Where children or 18-year-old young adult, they still have no concept. I play this game with students called the millionaire game. And what we find out very quickly is they have no idea what it feels like to have $1 million. And it is quite interesting to listen to young adults talk about if they had $1 million, what would they do? So it really comes down to the maturity of the student and the parents drawing the line and saying, let's really talk about the academic fit, the social fit, and the financial fit way before we apply. What people do is they apply and say, oh, if they get in, we'll figure it out. That is disaster waiting to happen.
It's probably good that we didn't get $1 million because she would have a tough time trying to tell us what to spend it on. Because I think we'd be through $1 million in what, 14 days?
Should be sitting here talking to an empty screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that money would be gone quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah. Now, what was my question going to be?
Oh, did I
You threw me
distract you?
off by asking.
I know. Well, I heard the $1 million thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, gosh, what could I do
suddenly
with the $1
started
million?
seeing dollar signs,
Yeah.
No, I remember now. Do you partner with any other kind of educational bodies or organizations or run alongside any government programs? Although I'm sure that's not always a great idea because it doesn't matter who's in power. They always somehow manage to screw it up. But, are there anybody else, in terms of organization or people you have who support your vision and, kind of help you deliver the message?
At this point, we have not found the perfect partnership. I'm very much open to it. We've looked at a couple of programs. The challenging part is alignment. I'm not looking for a fast dollar. This company is not about making a quick dollar. It's more about the mission that we're on, trying to make an impact. And so we partner more with organizations like a21.org, which is Stop Human Trafficking, or nonprofits where I can align my teenagers to show how they can impact the world, which gives them this huge confidence to go and impact the world. So our partnerships tend to be with nonprofits in support of my students, other than large governmental organizations. But like I said, if somebody has a great idea, I'm not ever opposed.
So, not to throw a turd in the punch bowl, so to speak, but I want to shift gears here a little bit. And what about the fact that there's been a lot of talk about college really isn't that important anymore? There's not enough people in trades, there's not enough electricians, there's not enough plumbers, there's not enough welders. And these kids or young adults, as you call them, they can go and they can get an apprenticeship and become a welder and make just as much money as somebody with a college education and not assume any debt. Obviously, if they didn't go through your program, because they're going to go through college and then they're not going to have any debt. But just because you get that college degree doesn't guarantee you a job like it did, say, 20 years ago when I graduated college. I got that piece of paper and yeah, I could go ahead and throw this out and I had job offers. But nowadays, that college degree doesn't guarantee you entry into the workforce. And then the trades, they're so short staffed, so to speak, that they're basically begging people. What kind of advice would you give there?
So it comes down to helping the student know themselves. High school students don't do a lot of introspection. They don't know their core values. They're so outward focused about social media and all the things out there that I recommend it's time to look within. If a student is not going to go into engineering or accounting or medicine or law or something that absolutely you need that piece of paper, it is okay to look at what else is out there. On the flip side, I do tell every person, I'm a huge entrepreneur. This is my 7th business. I believe in entrepreneurship. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. I wanted to skip college, and my dad gave me the best piece of advice. He said, you can go and just start your own business, or you can go and see how other people screwed up their businesses by getting a business degree and skip all of that. And then you can go and light the world on fire. You can do whatever that is, if it's plumbing or electrical or digging ditch, whatever that is. You're still going to have to understand how to manage the money that you do get after you work the job. So understanding how to have a budget, understanding how to save for retirement, these things, they don't have to be taught in college, but if you just go into the working world, you do skip the opportunity to learn about finance and accounting and some of the other how to write well, those type of things. So I always tell a student, unless you have to jump right into a trade school, it is okay to be taking community college classes and learning as you're going, because that will just take you to a beautiful opportunity to run your own business at some point where you now make your own schedule versus punching a clock. So our job is just to let these students know what their choices are, but there is no one size fits all. There is not, you must go to college. My nephew is a brilliant welder, and he chose not to go to college. And I gave him, kudos for that. He is really gifted at what he does. He builds race cars and he loves every second of it, but he will always work for someone. That's what I want people to think about for the long term. Again, it's the short term and the long term. So regardless, college or no college, I think students should look at what their 10-year plan is.
Right now, you mentioned it, that you've had other ventures in the past and you've been very successful as an entrepreneur. Now, with trying to get the name College Ready out there, what is the kind of temptation to more perhaps ride on your previous successes as an entrepreneur, as opposed to having the focus actually on the brand of College Ready? Do you feel that you're going to have to carry and wave the flag until the name's known a little bit more so that people trust in you, even if, this is a new concept to them?
I think that that's a very valid point. Technology wasn't there my last 6 businesses. So I've been doing this 13 years. So technology in itself has been an amazing ride. I'm on more social media platforms than I ever thought was ever going to exist. I have like 19,000 followers on LinkedIn. And you think, how can I possibly be that brand name to everyone? So I look at it as, we may not be a perfect fit for everybody, but for some students, it could be an amazing gift that their family can give them. So I look at it as, I'm not meant for everybody. I'm not looking to be Starbucks. I'm looking to work with individual students to help them reach their full potential.
Now, do you think this would have been possible to do without today's technology? You mentioned when you set up your previous businesses that you didn't have the benefit of technology, or at least as much as you have today. Would College Ready have been possible without technology?
Yeah, that would be difficult. It would be really hard to get out what we're able to do for people. My last career was a professional photographer. Again, I walked right into that, but I had my portraits all over the community, so people saw my work. Now we post it, we share, we give, and that's how we're able to be national and international. Where my last businesses were very localized because we didn't have that opportunity to do these kinds of things with Zoom and these virtual calls.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
so you didn't tell me that she used to be a professional photographer.
I did not know. I focused on the professional athlete.
Yeah, but she tried to take a picture of us, and
that's true.
now because she's a professional photographer, that picture's gonna look really bad because she's gonna be able to focus in and zoom in and show all our flaws.
Negative parts, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we ended up getting this new camera and we both said, oh, we look a lot older and a lot worse now that we have a better camera. And now we have this professional photographer over here taking a picture. You should have told me about this before we got started.
Yeah, this camera supports 4K, but I think we've currently got it going at about 480p.
I hope so.
More is kind of
I hope so.
Rough.
And we should have it in the old school 4x3.
Yeah, maybe
because
put some
I think,
RGB leads in the back of it instead.
Exactly. Because, we're a couple old men.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Shellee, you actually reminded me when you were talking about having no technology. We were talking to an author earlier today, and he was saying that, he opens his emails and reads some of the comments readers have sent him about his book. And he said, every now and then I might get an email saying, your book is a piece of crap. But when you were saying then about not having technology, it reminds me of a meme I saw the other day. And this guy sitting down, he goes, son, I grew up without the benefit of the internet. He said, some days people would walk miles just to tell me I was an asshole.
True. And to make you feel better, I would walk to your house to tell you that.
You only live a quarter of a mile away, so that's not much, is it?
Well, but I'd probably get lost walking to your house, though. Yeah. So, well, it's so great that you could join us. Can you give everybody a way to get a hold of you, get more information, kind of give yourself like a 30-second to a minute commercial that, the people that are listening that are going to see this on YouTube and, of course, listening can get a hold of you and find out more information about this?
Absolutely. So hopefully you will find me on social media. The easiest way to find all of my platforms is by going to our website. And so that's www.collegereadyplan.com. So that is number one. LinkedIn, if you wanted to look me up, it's Shellee, Shellee, last name Howard, Howard. And we are literally on every social media platform. So we have a private Facebook group that I wanted to invite you all to, because that's where I share every week the latest and greatest tricks of the trade, if you want to call them, on how to help your students stand out. It's a private group where I give some really solid information. And that private Facebook group is College Ready Debt Free. So please look us up, friend us. We are here to help. I do offer a free discovery session, and all you have to do is go to the website, click the button and sign up. And that's where I request that the student be in the room so I can help them understand what colleges are looking for and set a little bit of their expectation, and a little bit of a reality check I think is good for them to have as well. Gives them something to work for.
Yeah. And obviously you can trust a woman named Shellee, because when I was a kid, we had a garden in the backyard and there was a turtle that came back every year, and I named that turtle Shellee.
I knew this was going to be a tenuous link the moment his mouth opened.
Yeah, I know. Well, Shellee, so glad you could join us. Please visit that. And of course, on our website, we've got all your links as well, and we'll share that on social media as well. So that will do it for this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd. Shellee, thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Wolf and the Shepherd podcast. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll pass along our web address, thewolfandtheshepherd.com, to your friends and colleagues. And please leave us a positive review on iTunes when you get a chance. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for additional content. Join us next time for another episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd.